Some people get calmer the more upset you become. It's like they are waiting for you to get upset every time. So if this has ever happened to you or is something you're experiencing, this video is going to help you name something you felt for a very long time, but you kept talking yourself out of. So let me explain what I'm trying to say here. For example, they say something hurtful. Maybe it's a comment. It could be the way they said it. Or maybe it's something they actually did. And that stings so badly. So you try to talk about it. You tell them how it made you feel. You're not even asking for much, just for them to hear you. But unfortunately, they don't care. There is nothing like "I didn't mean it that way" or "I'm sorry that landed wrong." Nothing. Or even worse, they just keep going. They say something else, like your reaction gave them the permission. And the more you try to explain yourself, the more upset you get. And the more upset you get, the calmer they are. Until eventually, you are the one who looks out of control. You look like you're the crazy one. And now that becomes the whole conversation. They begin to say you're too emotional. You are overreacting. You are doing too much. It's not that bad. And somehow you are the one who ends up apologizing every single time. Not them, you, for reacting to something they started. So what is actually going on? Sometimes the reaction is the whole point. It's not because they sat down and planned it. Most of them probably don't even realize they are doing it. But let me tell you what your reaction actually does for them. Some people feel anxious and unsettled inside all the time. So when they provoke you and you react, that nervous energy finally has somewhere to go. Your reaction actually calms them down. You become an emotional dumping ground. And for some, it's not even about regulation. It's something deeper than that. Some people get calmer when you're upset because they want to see if you still care. Your reaction answers a question they couldn't just ask you directly. Questions like, do you still love me? Do I still matter to you? So breaking you down gave them that answer. So once I understood that, I stopped trying to figure out what I did wrong. Because the answer was never about me. But you know what? I still kept going back. And for a long time, I couldn't explain why. Until I realized when you're inside something long enough, it stops feeling wrong. It just starts feeling like that's how relationships work. That's how love feels. That's just what you do. The pattern doesn't just live in them. It also becomes what you are used to. Let's talk about what this could actually look like day to day. Things feel okay for a moment. There's a good day, maybe a good week or a good month, and then something disrupts it. A moment just comes out of nowhere and you are right back at where you were, where you started, and you remain in that cycle. 1 month, things are good. The next month, something happens. One thing most people don't realize is some people are genuinely uncomfortable when things are going well. It's not because they are trying to be difficult. Sometimes it's just because they grew up in an environment where chaos was normal, where something was always wrong, where peace never lasted. So when things get too quiet, when things get too stable, their body doesn't relax. It gets suspicious, like, what is going on? Why is everywhere quiet? And without even realizing it, they do something to bring the tension back. They could make a nasty comment, say nasty things to you, a mood shift. They will pick at something small. And when you react, they settle, something in them settles. Because that feeling of tension That is what home felt like growing up. And if you've been in that situation, you probably spent a lot of time trying to figure out what you did wrong, why things were fine yesterday and not today. You're asking yourself what changed. You didn't do anything wrong. You were just the closest person to a problem that started way before you. This is the part that's, hard to sit with. Sometimes it's not that they don't see your pain. The point is that your reaction is exactly what they were looking for. And if that is true, think about what that means. It means all those conversations you kept trying to have, all those words you carefully chose, all those moments you thought this time they will finally get it. They were never going to land. And this is not because you said it wrong, but because them understanding you was never the point. The reaction was. And the cycle that is built around getting a reaction from you will keep finding ways to get one. So it's not a communication problem. It's a pattern. And it's been working perfectly, just not for you. If you're watching this and you've already tried everything, you've had the calm conversations, the emotional ones, the ones where you begged, and the ones where you shut down completely, I know exactly where you are right now. And this is what I wish someone had told me. I wish someone told me that none of these things working wasn't a failure of effort. It wasn't a failure of love. The issue was you were bringing the right tools to the wrong problem. Because patience and clarity, they don't fix a dynamic that is not about either of those things. They understood you fine. Yeah. They knew what they were doing. They just were not going to stop. And when that really lands in you, something begins to shift. Because you stop asking yourself, how do I get through to them? And you start asking something you probably haven't asked in a long time. What do I actually need in this relationship? What do I need here? Let's talk about what actually helped me. None of this came from a book. I learned all of it by getting it wrong at first. And it took me a long time to learn it. The biggest one, and it sounds, almost too simple, was just stopping. Stopping the explaining. I once had this belief that if I could say it clearly enough, calmly enough, they would finally hear me. So I kept going in circles, saying the same thing 5 different ways, justifying myself until I was exhausted. And eventually I realized I had already said it multiple times, in multiple ways. So what I did, I just started saying one thing. Something like, that didn't feel right. Or I didn't like how that felt. Then I'll just go quiet. And this was not because I had nothing left to say. Trust me, I had a lot to say. But I was already done trying to convince someone to care. The other shift for me was learning to watch what they actually did, not what they said after. Because after something difficult happens, after a quarrel, after something hard, there should usually be a moment of softening, an apology. Something like, I didn't mean it like that. And I wanted to believe it. I did believe it for a long time. But I had to start asking, what happens next time? Not what do they say? What do they actually do? Because people can say anything. What keeps happening? That's the real answer. I know this sounds easier than it is. You still care about this person, And caring makes all of this so much messier than it looks when you're just talking about it. So I'm not saying any of this comes naturally. It didn't for me. But it gets easier once you stop measuring yourself against someone who was never going to meet you halfway. Now, this is the only question that actually matters at this point. Do I feel safe being myself around this person? I'm not talking about, being perfectly happy, because there's no perfect relationship or perfect marriage out there. But do you feel safe to say what you feel? To react like a human being? Do you have to calculate every word before you say it? Because if the answer to that is no, no amount of explaining is going to fix that. You are not wrong for noticing this pattern, and you are not overthinking it either. And when you get to that point, you begin to understand it's not about changing them. It's about deciding what you are willing to keep carrying. And whatever you decide, make sure it's actually your decision, not fear making it for you. I'll see you in the next one.